and welcome back to take 2 of the Baseball Development Hub podcast. Obviously, for our listeners, you have no idea that this is take 2. But Dan, I want to say this because I was thinking about this during the intro as we rolled it for the second time today. There is less than probably countable on one hand how many times we've had to run second takes just because of like mess ups on either of our ends or anything that isn't technical. We lost Wi-Fi related. I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's rare. I don't know. Does that mean we're doing something right or we're doing something wrong? Like I don't, because you obviously don't know when like people don't publicize when, other than when you just did right there, I guess, when it's a second take or we've had difficulties or anything like that. So I wonder if other people are constantly having to re-up takes. Like I wonder if especially the podcasters who do solo, like you have to. There's no way you're just hour plus just straight talking by yourself. Maybe you are. Maybe other people do a little more prep than we do. We prepare. We don't prepare.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not our full-time job.
It's not our full-time job.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, if it was, maybe we would prepare a little more. Probably would. Anyway, we probably record more too, since I do enjoy, and I'm very excited after a week off, sitting back down. It's a nice way to start a Sunday morning. I enjoy doing this every week, and it's weird. I feel so out of. I was just saying to you, I feel so out of practice when we miss a week. It feels like it's been forever, and I don't know what I'm doing on here. I don't know how to talk in this forum anymore, and it's only been 2 weeks. It's been 14 calendar days, so I don't know why that happens, but I guess because like so much gets shoved into my weeks now that 2 weeks ago my life was completely different, and that's just how it is every time 2 weeks elapse now, and things change quick.
The fact that our recording platform launched an update in the same time frame that me and you haven't been on here, and then there was a little bit of where are we in this recording setting? We haven't been on here in a while, and all of those things kind of convoluted to a really interesting 3-minute lead into podcast episode number 1, and now we're into podcast episode number 2. Another thing I just noticed as you were talking, rocking the short sleeve, those 5 a.m. workouts are treating you well. The arms look good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I got it in my head. Like, I'm at a point in my life now where obviously I have a family, and like that's my main purpose is like family and you know their joy. But like from the personal standpoint, like I don't have many like goals or aspirations. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you used to be an athlete, you would like, oh, I want to, you know, you would set goals during the season. So I don't have many. So for some reason in the month of June, my gym posts a leaderboard for check-ins for the month. And I used to be like in the back half of the top 10 every month, and then when the kid happened, I like disappeared from it. And then May, I somehow got back in at the top 10, and my friends at the gym texted me when it came out and were like, you got back in the top 10, like all this. And I was like, so for some reason I got it in my head that this month I was going to go 30 for 30. So this morning was 28 straight days at the gym. And it's one of those things, like, it doesn't matter. Like, there's been a couple of days where I'm like exhausted. I'm very sore. I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I'm like, no, but I decided I have to go 30 straight days. So Wednesday, I am going to take a day off for the first time since the end of May. And I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to, unfortunately, it's not like I'll sleep in. I'll still be up at 4:30, but I won't go to the gym that day. I will enjoy a nice day at home. I don't know how relaxing it'll be. It's the middle of the week, but yeah. So thank you. I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot. I have been going pretty consistently.
I see. We see each other enough that we see enough distinct differences. And the fact that there was something that stood out to me means that there's obviously been a pretty consistent theme of you going to the gym. So I'm not surprised that it's 28 straight days there. So pretty impressive. I will say that I've made because I think we both will obviously work out before we record. So we both get up early and do it. And I've just made a credence to make Sunday move day. Don't really care what I do in the gym, Just getting up and going and just making Sunday move day has been really good for me, where like, again, you wake up and sometimes you're up later or you didn't eat great on Saturday, whatever it is. And it's like, just get up and go. Yeah. That's it. Just get up and go. And that's what I've tried to do before we get on here for a podcast. And at least from my perspective, having a gym now 10 minutes away that's open pretty much all the time has been nice to the routine as well. Since we've moved up here to a little bit more civilization, it's a little bit easier to get in that, hey, I'm going to go on Saturday morning and Sunday morning rather than hoping that something's open.
I've been at a 24/7 gym, key card access gym for 4 years now. I cannot imagine going to a gym where there's time constraints. It would completely change the dynamic of everything. Like the fact that I go to a 24/7 gym is it means everything. Cause like even, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I can get up at 4:15 and go if that's just the way the day is. It's going to be open. I can get in whenever I want. It is a little weird. A lot of Sunday mornings I'm in there alone, which is kind of a strange feeling. Just because you're normally in a place that's like during the week when I'm in there in the morning, there's people, it's packed, and then Sunday mornings, people around here really take Sundays off. It's supposed to be a day of rest,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. So
Yeah. I will say, and not to get too much down the fitness hour. Obviously, for a couple years there, I worked out at the Campbell Gym, opening at 10 a.m. on
brutal.
Sundays, 8 on Saturdays, off or closed on Saturday and Sunday, and it messes up your routine because you wake up. Let's say you don't sleep great, right, or you feel like you're off, or you have a busy day at work, so you miss a Thursday. Like you make for the longest time, weekends were like mandatory workout weekends for me when I had 24-hour access. Now it's still time restricted, but just having like an opens on Saturday and Sunday at 7
That
a.m.
was
has like
perfect.
felt like even the 8 a.m. open, to be honest with
Too
you, is
late.
like I'm up early enough where like I'm starting my day. And the second I start that ball rolling downhill, I ain't
It's
going,
hard to
right?
drop
Unless
it and
things
go.
really open up for me. Yeah. Like I have to get it done in the time frame that I need it. And it's just, again, like I'm waiting when they open the gym at 7 a.m. I get in there, start working out right away. I'm out of there before I even realize. And it's been a lot nicer. So I can imagine a 24/7 gym just allows you to kind of have that freedom, and you take it for granted. I think sometimes when you don't have that.
100%. And like holidays too. Like my
Yeah.
favorite workout day of the year is Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving Day, like waking up in the morning,
Yes.
knowing that like you're gonna go eat, like for the next 4 days, you're gonna eat your weight in food. And, like to be able to go to the gym on Thursday and Friday and it not being closed around Thanksgiving is just like the best. And like if
The best.
you're like me, where like I love my family, but like I get uh like overwhelmed a little bit when I'm in big social settings. And so like to have that like hour and a half headphones in before I know that like I'm gonna have a weekend full of just like my social battery is gonna get run low. It it
Mm-hmm.
it means a lot. So yeah, 24. I take it for granted, and I don't know if I could ever go back.
One of the things, and this will be the last thing, is even on top of that, even if it's not even social battery, I think it's just the fact that like you're like me, and the fact that like it doesn't matter what day of the week it is, whether it's Thanksgiving, like I can't sleep in, right? So
Nah.
like even while everybody else is sleeping in and they're kind of doing their like you're up at the same time. So being able to knock out a workout, come home, if your family wants to do breakfast, if you guys want, whatever you have to do on that day off, I'm up anyway. I might as well not knock out a workout in that time frame, and then it just makes me feel so much better about dominating a second plate of mashed potatoes, right? Like if
For
that's how
sure.
I feel, like it just makes me feel that much better about doing that and less guilty. So Dan, obviously we could go on for hours. Sometimes I think people don't realize that me and you are catching up on here, especially with life circumstances being the way they've been over the last couple months. So that's a conversation Dan and I would typically probably have on the phone, but we haven't had it on the phone. So we're having it here on a recorded platform. But it's obviously been 2 weeks since we last caught up on the podcast here. Oklahoma won the College World Series, beating North Carolina right down the street here. Obviously, we were rooting hard for our friends at Georgia and West Virginia, but it was awesome to see the college season wrap up in such good fashion. One of the things that had come out over the last couple weeks since we were last on here is the MLB owners' proposal to the Players Association of another restructuring of the draft. It's something we had a conversation of over the offseason at some time frame where we started to have a conversation of what that would look like. And I think one of the things that's important is, as with everything in baseball, the reaction is negative in the baseball community, whether it's college baseball, even, which you would think they would be very supportive of. The college baseball community, the draft community, very negative, the prospect community, very negative, and across the board. Default negative is the reaction when changes happen across the Major League Baseball landscape. And it's frustrating. But I will say, if your negatives with this proposal is you don't like when owners are cheap, check. Dan and I will support that 100%. Anytime the owners are making a decision that's very obviously cost saving measures and limiting employment opportunity, check. Not a fan of that. The restructuring of the minor leagues, we could have conversations till we're blue in the face in terms of what that actually means and how baseball's minor league system is different than football and basketball and all of the different other professional leagues. But again, I'm not going to argue with taking away opportunities from players is a bad thing. But when I start to see people push back on the negatives of player development in college baseball, again, we are completely biased because of the opportunities we've been blessed with over the last 2 years to go hang out with these people. But I put my guard up right away. But before we get into that, Dan, I kind of want to get your initial reaction on when the proposal, I sent it to you, and we obviously had a little bit of texting back and forth about it. But what was your initial reaction when you saw this come across the Players Association's desk?
I'm in favor of this. And I've read a couple articles since about kind of the proposal, but B, kind of the reaction to it. And I'll be really disappointed if the players union just immediately goes, this is a non-starter. Do I think it's perfect the way it's laid out? Maybe not. There's definitely some things that could change about it. There's definitely some things that could be bargained. But that's the point of these negotiations anyway. The problem that I have in general with the labor talks in baseball, I'm not a labor lawyer. I don't, the only negotiations I've really ever have been in is like fantasy sports. So I'm not speaking from any type of experience in my life at all when having to do serious negotiations like this. But to me, it seems like both sides are so stubborn and aren't willing to budge and don't want to work together at all. And it's weird to me because at the end of the day, like they may be going about it differently, but like everybody wants the same thing here on both sides. Like, yes, the owners want to make money, but the owners want a good product because that's going to allow them to make money. And clearly owners are willing to spend money on players, which the players want to make money and get notoriety and play in a good professional league. Like we have that. Like Major League Baseball is good. There are there problems with some of the ways they operate and their marketing and some of the television stuff. Absolutely. There's no question. And I'm critical of it sometimes too. But like the fact that it almost seems like both sides look at each other like they seem to not want to work together, and they seem to like both think both sides are like crazy, and like there's so many like non-starter things, when I think if you look at this proposal specifically, like I think this is a really good start. And sure, there's some things that we could change and we could make maybe a little bit more, like a little better. And if we're going about it for the right reasons, just real quick example, we can get into this deeper, but just to kind of put a point to what I'm saying, like when you talk about like, are the owners trying to eliminate minor league teams? Yes, that's part of this. They don't want the burden. I don't have a problem with eliminating some minor league teams if that means the ones that we keep around, we are going to invest more in. You take that money, as long as you're spending the same amount as you do across all of your minor leagues right now, and if we're taking teams away and we're still investing that amount, I'm all for that. That is fantastic. Let's make the minor leagues, because I don't know, and maybe I don't want to sound like I'm speaking from like a high ground and look at me, but like you and I know a lot of people who have played minor league baseball. It sucks. Like you're not living a good lifestyle, right? Like, so it's not pretty, and it's not like you think, oh, professional baseball player, you're a professional baseball player, that's great. No, it's not glamorous at all. It's awful, and a lot of times it's worse than what you're getting at the top levels of college baseball in your treatment, everything, the way you live, the way you travel, your lifestyle, the way you eat, your workout regimen. I mean, we know players, and we've known players in different organizations, and sure, it's a little different from some, and we've known players in the worst ones, we've known players in some good ones. It's not a glamorous lifestyle when you talk to these guys. So if we have an opportunity to eliminate some of those teams and then invest so that it does become a better lifestyle, I don't see how we're like that. That's a win, in my opinion.
I would agree. It's definitely a win. I think it might be a little bit utopian to think that these owners don't have the intention of, when we cut Birmingham's minor league affiliate, that means that's 40 grand off the books, right off the books, whatever it is, a month probably. And it's obviously hard to know what the owners' true intentions are. I mean, in their proposal, they said they have no intentions of cutting any minor leagues. I mean, once you stop the applicant pool, you're not going to have necessary spots. Like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that, sure, maybe not right away, but in 3 years, it's going to be a necessity, right? The thing that also frustrates me about as we restructure these things and when we talk about cost saving measures, because I'm with you, let's invest in these, let's create better travel. Again, the G League, look at the way they travel, right? Look at the way the AHL gets paid. Those guys make 60 grand a year and they're able to be in cities that maybe aren't super populated, but are at least easy in and out of, right? Like you can get into Allentown, Pennsylvania at a reasonable, comfortable way, right? You don't have to find a way to get in to these towns in just these unique ways. Are we going to invest in the resources to put under this umbrella of, which is again, when we go back to player development, that's going to allow them to have better weight rooms and things like that. The thing that frustrates me as you get deeper into this proposal is they're capping the free agent signings at like 10 grand. And it's like, okay, now we're going to cut 8 rounds. And again, this is what people miss when we cut from 40 to 20. Those players, a lot of times, still ended up getting an opportunity in some way, right? Whether they had to go play indie ball for a year to get more evaluation on the player to see if their skill set, translates to wood. There's different points, but like these players have gotten professional opportunities. And if you go prove yourself, you're going to get a minor league contract, right? Like, I think that's part of the draft restructuring when we talk about the Mike Piazzas of the world that I would argue back. It's like we can find guys in South Dakota now. We can find guys in colleges at the Division II, Division III, NAIA level that are true diamonds in the rough. I mean, Caleb Durbin won or was almost won the Rookie of the Year last year, and he was a Division III kid at Washington and St. Louis, right? Like these guys, if you get into professional baseball and you rake your opportunity, whether you're a free agent sign or whether you're a first round draft pick, like the cream rises to the top, which is where I push back a little bit on the Mike Piazza. It's like, yes, would Mike Piazza not have been drafted? But if Mike Piazza was a Hall of Fame level player, which he was, somebody would have figured that out eventually. Like he wasn't going to be doing landscaping at 22 years old, like, or trying to get an insurance sales job. He was going to rake at some level of professional baseball. But when you start to really handcuff these employment opportunities for players to say like, hey, you only get 10 grand to sign. It's like, at that point, it should be more, if we're going to consolidate the draft, and especially that just in turn consolidates signing bonus pools, make it a free market beyond the 12th round, right? Like make it like if there's a kid that slips through the cracks at a JUCO, NAIA, and 5 teams are interested in him and they didn't want to, nobody wanted to give him or he didn't want to sign because the signing bonus was so low, go let him make 250 on a signing bonus. Why do we need to cap opportunity? Like that's where it starts to become much more disingenuous in their intentions, is like, yes, if we can consolidate and we can reinvest those funds into actual player benefits, whether it's increased pay, whether it's increased resources, whether it's better travel, better nutrition on the road, those types of things that are super important that we miss a lot of times. But then you're going to turn around and cap the earnings of a free agent signing when it shouldn't be capped. There should be no rule. And maybe that's, again, what people have to also realize, to put a bow on this point, is this is the first proposal. Right? You're always going to shoot for the moon in your first proposal, especially in a union versus owner labor negotiation. Like those have been toxic since the 1900s, right? Yeah. Like this is not nothing new, right? In terms of this, and not just baseball related. It's just even private sector related, but you're always going to shoot for the moon, and what you're going to compromise. The other side of that, what people don't understand too, is this is more likely to get to the finish line than people realize, because guess what? The MLB Players Association doesn't represent draft prospects. They don't represent minor league prospects. They do it in good faith. But if that's the compromise they need to get, this is why the draft got restructured from 40 to 20, is because the first thing MLBPA is going to say, if you're going to die on that hill, we're going to kick the draft to the corner, because that's not current big leaguers fighting for.
Did they not though? But the minor league union, the players union, is now protecting the minor leagues. Wasn't that part of the last one? Isn't there? Because they finally got a collective bargaining agreement. I'm not
let's say protections, but again, it's one of those things like where if I'm the Players Association and let's say we're between a lockout and actually playing and earning money next year, and the one thing that they're saying is we don't want to draft high schoolers anymore. Don't want to.
Yeah, 100%.
The Players Association, like, and for the betterment of Major League Baseball, yes, sign the paper. Like, we need games. The game is in such a good state. Like, we can't have another lockout right now. We can't.
And I think just to go back to a couple of things you said, everybody loves to bring up the examples of the guys who made it because you know who made it. Like the list of people who don't make it bias is exponentially larger. You couldn't even put a number on it. Like it's just so much larger. The guys who don't make it out of that. The thing that is weird to me is the signing bonus cap for free agents it makes no sense in my opinion. Because again, like this will be my stance forever until they fully open the books. You're not hurting for money. And if you want to invest in a kid that you didn't draft in the top 12 rounds because you think you're that good at IDing and you're pulling the rug, the rug over everybody's head, whatever the saying is, that good that you can wait till the 14th round to sign a kid, why put a limit on that? You want to invest in someone that you didn't want to draft in the top 12? That much money? Top 12 rounds? That much money? Go ahead. You want to take the 13th player on your draft board. By the time it gets to you, it's not your 13th player on the draft board, but like you've taken 12 guys in 12 rounds ahead of them, and maybe even more depending on the sneaky picks we throw in the comp picks. If you want to throw six figures at them, why would anyone stop you? That almost makes no sense to me because more times than not, you're probably wrong about that kid. Because again, like we just got done saying, the undrafted free agents most of the time don't work out. It's very rare for them to. So if the Los Angeles Dodgers want to throw $250,000 because they can at an undrafted free agent after 12 rounds of draft, if I'm the Pittsburgh Pirates, I'm gonna be like, yeah, go ahead, flush that down the toilet because I'm gonna I'll take that bet every single time that he's not going to work out over he is going to work out. So it's weird to me to cap that, and I think that will be. I mean, that should be something that the union says no, we can't. But like you said, this is the first offer. That's the first offer on the table, and they're always going to shoot for the moon, as you said. And so I think that we can get them off that. To me, it just like the biggest point that I like about some of this stuff is two things. One, my hope that I said of reinvesting in the minor league teams that we will keep, and like making that a better standard of living, better player development processes. Now, it's a little worrisome that we've capped spending on player development processes. I think that was a terrible mistake by Major League Baseball. I don't think that's a money thing. Like we can either afford it or we can't. I think it's a smart investment thing and that every team should be investing in that. And if you all are small market, why wouldn't the majority of your money be going to that if you can't sign the free agents to the money? Anyway, it makes no sense to me. The other thing is like player development has gotten so good in college baseball. The reason you and I are able to sit here today, go on our YouTube channel, go listen to Matt Hobbs talk. Okay, well, you're going to say that's the SEC, that's the University of Arkansas. Okay, go listen to Dan Hefner at Dallas Baptist. Okay, well, that's a big name program. Okay, go listen to the guys at Charlotte that we talked to. That's not a big program.
One who's in a professional organization now.
Go listen to the guys at Richmond. Go back and listen to VCU. Oh, he's in the professional organization too. That tells you how good these coaches are in college and how good we've gotten at developing players. So is it a problem if Jackson Holliday goes to Oklahoma State? No, he's probably going to be a better player. He's probably going to come out a better player because we saw Jackson Holliday get rushed to the minor leagues and it's been bumpy. Well, imagine if Jackson Holliday's at Oklahoma State where there is less attention. There is a little bit less attention for him. He can develop. He can go through some of those things as a freshman. He can get 3 years of full-time at-bats at high-level college baseball, and then he can go into – and this is a lot of what we talked about in the offseason when we talked about this. And then he can go into professional baseball, and you can expedite him. Think about some of the guys that we've seen debut so quickly after getting drafted. Paul Skeens, he didn't need a lot of minor league tune-up after going to LSU. Rhett Lauder didn't need a lot of minor league tune-up at Wake Forest. Chase Burns is in the running for the Cy Young this year. He went from Wake Forest and debuted like 3 months later. Nick Kurtz is one of the best offensive players in the league right now. How long did he spend in minor league baseball? You're telling me that we don't know how to develop at the college level just as good as, if not better, than some organizations in Major League Baseball? I think you're fooling yourself.
So this got me hot and heavy. And thankfully you live a normal life and spend time with your family and don't egg me on sometimes when I'm sitting there getting hot and heavy over this, because this whole thing, right, that we're talking about is, and I'm not trying to sit here and say that we have such a better perspective. I think we have a better perspective of the player development chops of college baseball programs. I think there's probably nobody in the industry that can compete with our perspective in the conversations we've had. But the pushback, right? So there's a couple of pushback points that I kind of want to argue or talk through together, right? Well, the Konnor Griffins of the world don't happen. Okay.
But they
You're right.
do. They
Konnor
just
Griffin,
don't happen
unicorn.
at that age. Like, so it happens 2 years later, because that's the thing that I like about this as well, is like we're taking it from 3 years in college to 2. So it's 2 years. So instead of debuting this year, if he was so good, he would be the number 1 pick in the draft this year, right? Because this would be his second year out of high school.
Yeah, he would have hit 500 in college, the SEC.
And he would debut. So he gets drafted number 1, and then he debuts. If he's that good, then the Konnor Griffins of the world, they go for 2 years in college instead of spending a year in the minor league. So you've shortened it by 1 year.
Yeah. Well, so and even so, yes, you're right. In theory, that's not even a negative, right? Here's the thing that I would even push back. How many people in the baseball community know about Lonnie White?
Right.
And we could go on for hours. We could name high school kids that were safe prospects that never make it out of A ball. And this is where I get frustrated. That's survivorship bias in this whole ecosystem, right? Everybody wants to circle Konnor Griffin and Jackson Holiday and whoever you want to circle of high school prospects that wouldn't have had that trajectory. Go find the kids in the top. Riley Pint. You don't think Riley Pint would have preferred to pitch 3 years and get an education while still pitching and playing college baseball? Because again, as much as we want to say these opportunities are worthwhile, playing college baseball is an awesome experience.
Especially nowadays.
Awesome people, especially now that kids get paid. Like, there are top 10 picks that can't even make it past A ball, and they willow away in the minor leagues. And then they're 7 years past their draft year, whenever it was, because the higher you are, the more opportunities. Some guys are 2 to 3 years before they're kicked to the curb, and they can't go back and play college baseball. Sure, will orgs pay for their education? That's built into every high school prospects agreement. Yeah. You be 23 years old and go, yeah, now I'm going to stop my life, and probably a significant other or some mature decision I've made at this point in my life. I'm going to stop and spend 4 years as a full-time student. I would love to know the research on how many kids take the big league orgs up on that offer. I would love to know it, because at that point, you're more likely to be doing something that's more blue collar work because you didn't have an education that you could fall back on. So we need to stop with the Konnor Griffins of the world wouldn't happen. Like you said, Konnor Griffin would happen. He would happen. He's a unicorn. He's one of the most special talents that's ever stepped on the field in professional baseball. That's why he debuted at 19. That's why he was hitting 300 plus after his 20th birthday in the big leagues. And he's going to be here for a long time. It would have happened, and he would have been really fun to watch with a metal bat, and it would have happened right away. But to sit there and not acknowledge the thousands of kids that are drafted out of high school that take that opportunity and then never get to circle back and make the decision to go make the memories of college baseball, mature through college baseball, even from a player development perspective. Again, I think it's a better ecosystem. That's what I'm talking about, ecosystem for player development to take advantage of those resources. And that's not even to mention the life decision of the majority of them not going and taking a chance on their education. So let's stop having that conversation and start acknowledging the fact that the majority of high school prospects that are drafted never, ever sniff Major League Baseball. And then they're caught at 24 years old at a crossroads of either I can go live my life as a normal person, or I can take 4 years as a full-time student and not be an employee until I'm 28 years old.
Do you remember, I don't know if you remember this, 15 years ago, the Guardians, they weren't the Guardians at that point, they had the $1 million outfield in the minors. Mm-hmm. They had all 3 of their outfielders. It was in I don't know if it was when the Blue Rocks back then, high or low A, one of them, whatever the Blue Rocks were. I was at a game in Wilmington, and Cleveland's minor league team came in, and I wanted to go see it because they had the $1 million outfield. All 3 guys that were out in the outfield had signed for $1 million plus. I don't even remember the names of the other two guys because they never made it. Clint Frazier was in center field that night, who also didn't live up to the billing of what Clint Frazier was supposed to be. He's out of baseball. How old is Clint Frazier? He's probably got to be like my age, right? 30, 33 years old, 31 years old. And the other two,
he's an Instagram famous now.
Right. I think one of them.
He's trying to be a TikTok star.
Correct. I think one of them was a UVA guy. But then the other one was another high school guy who never made it. And I don't even remember his name. We're sitting here right now and I can't tell you his name. So yeah, this is, again, like you said, there's survivorship bias. Like, it's easy to be like, well, Konnor Griffin. That's because you see him every day. How about, there you go. They signed for over $1 million. Like, I bet you, even though they did, some of those guys would be like, yeah, I'd rather go to college. Like, if I could have gone to college, I would have done it. And yeah, like, again, like, it's so easy to look at Mike Trout and be like, well, but see Mike Trout play non-power 4 baseball would have been insane. His numbers would have been crazy. And like, again, this is what bothers me a little bit too. And I think I'm in the minority when I say this, because one of the biggest beefs that we're talking about is like, okay, well, now you're shortening the years to get to these guys to free agency. They're older now when they get to free agency. You're killing their earning potential. None of these dudes need to make $100 million. Sorry, I'm sorry. And I'm for the players getting paid and I'm for it. But like, you want me to cry that a guy gets to a 9-figure contract at 20 or 29 over 26? Like, what are we really, like, to me, like, I just, as someone who somewhat lives paycheck to paycheck, it's hard for me to always cry about that. Like, and I do agree that, like, if someone wants to pay Juan Soto $700 million, great. Juan Soto's family is set up forever, and they will never, like, none of them have to work a day in their lives forever. But like, I can't get upset that, like, oh no, Juan Soto wouldn't have gotten paid until he got that contract at what, 26? So in this scenario, he would have been 28. So what, maybe he wouldn't have gotten 700 million. He would have gotten 500 million. Am I really supposed to like feel bad about this? And I'm sure there's other examples of guys that you could tell, but like, I don't know. It also, the way the game is trending is like, if you're good enough, which is like where I don't have a problem with things. If you're good enough, if you are good enough, you will get taken care of. Kyle Schwarber just signed a massive contract at 33 years old.
Yeah.
So who cares if they get to free agency a couple years later? Do I think that we should shorten the lifespan of the rookie deals and the manipulation, and I think it's all wrong? Yes, I'm in favor of all of that. But to sit here and say that this proposal is wrong because then those high school kids like Konnor Griffin would have to wait till they hit free agency to cash in a little bit longer, that doesn't move me. And I think I'm in the minority of that because of a lot of, most people in our country are free market forward, and I'm a fan of that. But like, I just like 1 year, man. Konnor Griffin, wait 1 more year.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing right there is off the top of our head, right? The top of the head, the players in our lifetime that would have made a difference for. Juan Soto, international signing, right? Doesn't matter. He would have been up at 19 no matter what. We have Konnor Griffin. Yeah, 100%. 1 year delayed, right? We have Kevin McGonigal, who's like, he's obviously, I think he was a 23 draft. So who knows if he's debuting the same year as Konnor Griffin, if he was as advanced and he went to Auburn and he played 2 years, that he wouldn't be in the same exact scenario that he would be in. So you don't even have to sit there. Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, both debuted at 19 years old.
Real quick, because Harper's a weird one, which is why I haven't used him as an example yet, because I don't know where this would fall in the rules. If you're as good as Bryce Harper played at junior college, he should have been in high school. So maybe we could, fine. If you want to do it that way, I'm fine with that. Cut off the age that goes with it as well. Say 2 years at college. And if you're good enough at 16 to go play in college and then enter the draft, go to college at 16 like Bryce Harper, play at the college level at 16 years old, and then enter the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
No question. And I think that should be a part of it, and it will be a part of it. And being able to start that clock sooner is going to be a part of it. And so that is the employment opportunity side. And again, I think I'm just surprised how many people, again, it's a baseball reaction. It's a baseball community reaction. And it frustrates me because, again, there's people that push back on ABS. There's people that push back on ABS and said ABS is ruining the sport, right? That's the baseball community and the ecosystem. We're all in on the day to day. Oh, so getting the call right, Walker Buehler crying in the preseason is like, oh, well, I think veterans. No. Is a hold a holders in football? Yes. There's a by the book rule. A strike is a strike. And how we can have anybody that follows the sport and sit there and watch ABS where the call just gets right in high leverage situations when teams are utilizing this to make sure. And then if you run out, umpire's error is still a part of the game. Catcher framing becomes a part of the game. 99% of the time, it's still a part of the game. And all these things. And people can say that's ruining the sport. Pitch clock, ruining the sport. Disengagements, fair, right? But again, I like it because I think it speeds up the game. It's better for base runners and stuff like that. But if you want to say like that completely alters the statistical profile of players, right? Like that's the first thing that we've talked about that has been a change that legitimately alters statistical profiles because guys can now steal 40 bags. But all of these rules, like that's the baseball community as a whole, is we sit there and we cry about everything. We cry. And it's just infuriating to see that like the initial reaction to everybody across the industry is no. We're like petulant children, baseball fans are. It's like, no. Like, have you thought about it? So that's the other side. So the employment opportunity side, again, less than 0.5%, less than probably 0.1% are actually impacted. Is Nick Kurtz free agency going to be impacted by that? If he was on? No. And he wouldn't be the player he is without going to college. He was a two-way player when he walked on to Wake Forest and became a freshman All-American right away and turned himself into a multi-million-dollar player, right? And then that's not even to talk about the skill set he probably developed in college. Crazy concept to think that player development actually happens at these programs that invest hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in technology and have the best coaches that aren't major league coaches. That's the other part of this that people don't want to have a conversation. Way better. People think that just because you have a major league logo on your chest, that you're somehow just the smartest person, right? I texted you this about when I was on one of my rants about it. Oh, so you're telling me Elijah Green was better off going into the Mike Rizzo offensive development Nats compared to going and learning under Tim Corbin for 2 years?
Right. And even look at the assistants, not even the head coaches. Well, 100%. A couple of these, like Wes Johnson was one of the best pitching coaches in Major League Baseball. He now holds a college job. Matt Hobbs, do you think we have a relationship with Matt Hobbs? We're biased, but we're biased because we've gone to his school multiple times now and listened to him preach to us about pitching. Do you think Matt Hobbs would be one of the best pitching coaches in Major League Baseball?
So what you're saying right here is what people miss. Where does development happen? The minor leagues.
Right.
These coaches in the SEC and Power 4 baseball, they don't get paid enough in professional baseball to go be a double-A pitching coach.
Right.
It makes more financial sense for them to be college baseball assistant coaches than it does to be professional minor league pitching coordinators, whatever it is. So the best true development, because we're not talking about head coaches. Yes, Wes is a head coach and he oversees all their pitching, but let's just say positionally coaches. All of the college coaches that get hired into professional baseball, where do they come from? Mid-majors, D2, D3, JUCOs, because they're innovators, but also because the financial jump of going from 40 grand at a mid-major to 55 grand in professional org makes sense for them. The only way any of these guys make their way back into professional baseball is direct college baseball to major league job. They would jump over. So if we're talking about the best developers of talent, if we're talking about the best ecosystem for said player to be the best version of himself, it is in an SEC program, in an ACC program with the resources and the coaching staff that if they were to go anywhere else, it would be a major league team, not an org, a team. Matt Hobbs wouldn't be a pitching coordinator. It wouldn't make sense for him to ever be a pitching coordinator unless he just wanted to do it. He would be a major league pitching coach the day he said he wanted to do it. This is not the day the industry said he could do it. No,
he's turned down.
It's the day he says he could do it.
Right. He's gotten that phone call.
And so, like, when we talk about player development, like, I just can't imagine that people think minor league baseball is the better place for
And
these high school players to develop.
right. And I don't want it to seem like we're bashing that, because there are organizations who are great at it. There's organizations who struggle at it mightily. But the point is like, everyone who doesn't understand this side of things, and again, like, we do have a unique perspective of this. Everyone who doesn't understand this side of things thinks, well, professional organization, of course they're going to be better at it. But it's like, again, like, go listen to some of these people we've talked to. Like, Dan Heathner could develop a hitter at any level. He chooses to be the head coach of Dallas Baptist. Like you said, these are choices. These are not, like, he's not limited in his career opportunity. Matter of fact, if you follow college baseball, you know every single year when the coaching carousel rolls around, everybody mentions Dan Heathner, whether it's realistic or not, because he's that good. And it's like, so to sit there and act like you would stunt development by sending these kids to colleges, you and I know for sure that that is wrong. It is absolutely incorrect. And there's great developers, and like, I don't want it to think that like the SEC is the only conference that has great developers, or even any of the Power Four conferences. Like, one of my best friends in the world is Division II hitting coach. He was hired by the Baltimore Orioles because he's one of the best I've ever seen. The way he can translate it, the way he understands the offensive side of the game, he's one of the best, point blank. Like, he coaches at a Division II school. Like, they're all over the country. You can find them everywhere at the college level, at every single level of that. There's a junior college, all the above. I mean, Kai Correa was D3, I think. He was a D3 assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Kai Correa has been in the big leagues for like 7 years now as a bench coach and as a major league coach. He was a D3 coach. Like, it's all over the place. So like, I think that part of it makes no sense. And I like, again, and that's why I'm in favor of this, because if the opportunity turns out that we can get more kids into college baseball, one, college baseball gets better. Because like you've mentioned a couple of times, imagine some of these big names that we do know of that have made it now going to college, right? Like, it would be awesome to see Konnor Griffin. And that's what we talked about in the offseason. Like, it would be awesome to see these guys play college baseball. Like, could you imagine I don't know, would they have crossed over? 23 was McGonigal, right?
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have crossed over. But like, let's just say he was 1 year older. Could you imagine the Skeens versus McGonigal in like an SEC Friday night matchup there? Like, how much fun would that be? It would be awesome. So college gets better. If we now have cut minor leagues and invest more into it, the ones that we keep around, minor league baseball just got better because we now have more resources, more development, more money poured in. They're treated better. They're not eating ham and cheese sandwiches on the road. We can maybe get them some good food, even at AA and single A. We don't have to put them on a bus for 15 hours. Maybe we can travel a little bit more comfortable. Or if we do have to put them in buses, maybe we can give them multiple buses so these guys can spread out a little bit. Things like that. Like, now you just made minor league development better. So how is the game? Like, the game, you're potentially making it better, which is what I want to see. That's all I want, right? Like, okay, college baseball is getting better. We know how good the development is there. Some of these guys can get better. You're not having these high school kids who go into the draft and then just get lost, because now they're playing it at big time conferences. You mentioned Elijah Green. Maybe he goes to Vanderbilt and he finds an identity, figures it out. There isn't the pressure. There isn't, he's getting treated like a royalty at Vanderbilt with, incredible resources there, incredible coaching staff. Maybe he has an impact. Drew Jones. Maybe Drew Jones.
Vanderbilt as well.
Right? Like, so I just think that there's so many of those examples. And to me, and then on the other side of it, like the international draft is something that I'm in favor of as well, because now you want to, like, let's put some more guardrails around that, whether it's a different pool, whatever, how you ever want to do it. Like, I just think these are positive things that if we can negotiate, everybody can win here. And baseball can win, which is the most important thing. The talent in the sport can get better and the game can continue to grow and get better.
Yeah. And again, so many good points about the timing and everything like that. There are one valid pushback, one that I'll push back on that I've heard. One, completely valid. Arkansas program that we're very familiar with. One of the best recruiters, one of the best developers of talent. They have a head coach who's probably going to wrap up his career in the next 2 to 3 years. Let's just say is probably a comfortable cap. They added 15 transfers this offseason. So how do freshmen fall into place in that scenario, to me, no different than football, right? Like there's programs that want to invest in freshmen and the value of a high talented freshman and bringing in those guys. And because there is the developmental trajectory, right? William Schmidt was a first round pick. He went to LSU. He didn't pitch a ton as a freshman. He pitched a little bit this year. Hopefully it all clicks for him next year. Jay Johnson, Dave Van Horn, Wes Johnson, Kevin Schnall, these coaches in the SEC that paid to win baseball games, and sometimes it makes more sense for them to go get a transfer. That then trickles down where we talk about the ecosystem of an SEC program, right? Like I can't emphasize enough, like Georgia, Arkansas, these SEC programs. It's like field here, PDC here, pitching lab, biomech, ground floor, or all of their resources. They have a weight room upstairs, nutrition, right? Football field. That's how much space it takes for them to consolidate all that stuff. Well, if the freshmen aren't going there, it's a little bit more challenging to get that at a mid-major program, let's just say. And so I do see some pushback there.
So just because I hear you and I agree with your point, but my question is how many of the guys that get drafted out of high school, listen to the names we were just saying and where they're committed to,
no, 100%.
You're not going to take a transfer over those guys. If you have the opportunity to land those freshmen,
it would be program to program, right? Like Ole Miss football, they would prefer a transfer over a high school.
But those guys are still being recruited, is my point.
Yes, they would still be.
The University of Arkansas is losing high school guys to the draft every year.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that's part of why they're bringing in the transfers. If that guy's going to the draft, he's not coming here. So that guy's still getting recruited. Mm-hmm. They would take one less transfer a lot of the times because we're talking about, around like Konnor Griffin. No transfer is taking Konnor Griffin's spot. No. As a freshman. So those guys that were like most of the guys in the you're talking about in the draft, like I don't think they're losing their spot, a lot of them to because they're that good. Those guys are getting, and short program to program. There are some programs where we're always gonna, and I think it also depends on the year before a little bit. Did you struggle this year? Are you starting to feel a little bit of pressure? Maybe you want some more older guys that are sure things coming in. Sure, but I think it's program like okay, so. I don't know. Georgia wants to go transfer heavy. That's fine. Well, then that kid that wants to go to Georgia that now can't get drafted, he's going to end up at LSU.
Yeah. Well, and my point is somebody's losing their spot.
But those guys are losing to the transfers anyway.
Yes. So as a transfer comes in at a program that needs to win, even if that said player still as a high level prospect ends up at another Power 4 high level program, that kicks somebody down, right? Like, and it always will. So my whole point is more high level prospects are going to be in player development ecosystems that aren't as comprehensive as the Arkansas, Georgias, LSUs of the world, where all of that they need is within a stone's throw of the practice field, their locker room, and all those things like that. They might have to go to a smaller school environment that's right around the corner from their house and have a weight room that's shared with the football program. Right? Like just the reality of it. Even if they have great resources, that's probably going to be more common than it was in the past. I'm okay with that, right? Like that's just part of the changes. Like again, that goes back to us being petulant children, and just instead of accepting it, we just kind of look at it with a negative tone. I've just heard that pushback, and people that say that coaches are paid to win. That's 100% true. But again, like you said, Konnor Griffin helps you win, right? The Parker kid from Mississippi State, whose brother was a first-round pick of the Blue Jays, and Jared Parker or whatever his name was that went off in the Super Regional. Like he's still going to play, right? Like and being able to identify those guys.
I mean, Zachariah Branch was just on a podcast. We're a baseball podcast. I should probably explain who Zachariah Branch is. Zachariah Branch was a 5-star wide receiver out of high school. He went to USC. He then transferred after his sophomore year and went to the University of Georgia. Just became a whatever round pick at Georgia. He went on a podcast recently and was asked why he transferred from USC. He says Makai Lemon exists. For those who are football fans and are listening to this, I'm just going to say Makai Lemon is part of the reason why he transferred. Sure, but his reasoning was that at USC, he had to share training staff and training room time with Olympic sports. They weren't allowed to go into the facility late at night. So that happens now at power conferences
Yeah.
to other sports.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not act like this is, in baseball that it would be unique and it's only unique to mid majors. You're talking about a guy who's a 5-star wide receiver in football. Those guys are big deals. That was happening to him at a power 4 program in football. It's better than sitting on a bus.
Yes.
For 15 hours in the minor leagues and eating ham and cheese. Like, in my opinion.
Thank you for tying the knot on my point, because that's my whole thing is when we look at even the player development resources at the programs, the mid-major programs that we've been at, right? Having the ability to travel in more regional base than, and I know minor league baseball is very regional based, but like it's 8 to 12 hours sometimes regional base on a bus, having to eat gas station food, having to sleep in hotels. Like when we look at, like, let's just say even your baseball specific recovery, look at what Penn State's invested in recovery for their athletes, right? You don't get that in minor league baseball. Saunas, steam rooms, cold tubs, hot tubs, beautiful athletic, float beds, all of these things that these baseball players have access to. Nutrition, athlete only nutrition center right upstairs that has catered meals that specific to athletes' needs, with specific identifies of what they need from a protein standpoint, what they need from a carbohydrate standpoint. This isn't a player guessing and choosing between the Love's glizzy roller and the freaking beef stick, the chomp beef stick down, right? Like, that's one. The pitching labs, right? Everybody wants to glaze the Brewers pitching labs, right? Pitching lab. Name me an SEC program that doesn't have a full comprehensive lab.
I was gonna say, how many pitching labs do you think you and I have been in the last 2 years?
Enough.
Just about every school.
Enough. Yeah. Everybody's getting a pitching lab. Everybody's having biomechanics. Everybody's having ground force data. Everybody's getting that from an in-game perspective now. All of these things that are player development valuable. And guess what? So we're walking out of right field at Arkansas. You walk right into their pitching lab. You walk right into their indoor facility with a full infield. You walk upstairs and you get Hunter Bell and the weight training staff up there. That's baseball only, and a weight room with a professional coach that's there to ensure your development. The nutrition center, having all of it, like massive training room. So like you walk through this and it's like, oh yeah, but guess what they do in the minor leagues? Let's hope the Planet Fitness is close enough and we can get somebody to drop us off there.
And do you know what's funny too? That we probably should have made this point. We should make it often and very loud. Player development doesn't trickle down from the big leagues to college. It trickles up. No. And it's a lot like football, where schemes and offensive types trickle up a lot of times. Stuff happens in college first. Like, how often do you and I laugh at, you'll watch a big league or you'll read an article from a beat writer in the big leagues, or you'll watch a big league broadcast and you'll hear one of the announcers like going crazy over this new fad that this organization does in Major League Baseball. And it's like so cutting edge and all this. And me and you were like, this college was doing this 2 years ago. We've known about this. Like, this isn't new. This is not new at all. Like, it might be new to the big leagues, but we've been hearing this for a while now. Now the big leagues are catching on and they're taking it. Like, that's actually how player development works. They're not creating the Major League Baseball doesn't create the like player development in the new cutting edge, like spin and high ride fastball. That was a college thing first. Like everything you can think, like all of this stuff is like, it happens and it trickles up. And I don't know. I don't know if people realize that maybe on the daily. But like
they don't.
And again, it's like if there are any football fans listening, like it's very similar where you see, spread offense and what's the air raid? Sorry. Air raid type schemes and offenses and like the McVay and Shanahan. That's based off stuff that came from college where like you can
RPOs
lower stakes a little bit, but it's right. It starts at the college level. Start at Valdosta State. And then work its way up. And
that's what, again, like what the Brewers do. And again, me and you follow Major League Baseball and listen to Major League Baseball types, and obviously the Brewers, like Arkansas does that. probably just as well. And to be honest with you, right? Like
We can name
Georgia
several
does
places.
Exactly. Like it doesn't stop there. Like, and I would envision that there's people at mid-major programs, like if they had the tech and resources, Richmond would be able to do it.
And some of them are getting that. Like
Charlotte
that's the
would be
point.
able
Like,
to do
and
it.
now with like
100%.
fundraising and NIL the way it is, like, and we even we mentioned food a couple times in the minor leagues. We know a mid-major program. I won't name names because I don't know what the NCAA rules are on it, but we know a mid-major program that takes some of their fundraising dollars and what do? They feed their players all year.
All year.
For free.
Mm-hmm.
Come on into the facility. Lunch and dinner is here.
Yep. And so obviously, like we can't emphasize enough on the player development. And again, we might have to do another series on this because the last thing that, again, to a certain extent, I think on the surface, it's how loud can you be? And when you yell this, I think people gravitate towards it because arm injuries are real. Pitch counts. And whether you want to say there are, let's call it what it is. There are college baseball programs that ride their guys hard. Cade Anderson threw 140 pitches in March last year. Paul Skeens threw 120 and then went back out there on short rest. Like I probably should have had other examples that weren't one program because but said program does
Quinn
ride
Matthews.
their starting pitchers
Quinn
hard.
Matthews.
Yeah. And 100%. Quinn Matthews at Stanford. And again, look at their player development for the last couple of years and what their guys have done upon leaving there. And I think there's something going on there beyond just pitch counts that are using their guys in the wrong way. Pitch counts are a very real thing. And I don't mean to say this as like it's just so funny because as baseball community, we argue about everything. One, starting pitchers don't go long enough, but God forbid you throw 100 plus pitches in college baseball. What do we want? Like, honestly, what do we want? Do we want starting pitchers to learn how to compete third time through the order and learn how to hold their stuff and learn how to do that? Or do we want to bitch and complain about injury? Like, what do we want? Pick a side.
Don't you think arm injury? I mean, we've talked to several people who seem to agree with this, that it's going to happen no matter what. Sure, you're increasing risk when you ride them forever, but like it's gonna here's an example. Andrew Painter he was a high school draft pick who was treated with kid gloves because he was such a star prospect. Tommy John happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're still searching for the arm injury answer. It's so easy to point to pitch counts, but like at the end of the day, when you think about a pitch count, it is an arbitrary number. Like there's definitely more research on but every guy is so unique and so different that it's still arbitrary. Like, yes, there's research that shows after this point, there's fatigue. There's obviously, chronic versus acute workload, things like that. Like, what have you built up enough? Everything, impact on the elbow. We have the resources to track this stuff, but because everybody moves differently and their body is built differently, like it's still arbitrary because you can't put a number on every single guy because pitch 101 for one guy is pitch 74 for another guy.
Yes.
So if you have an organizational philosophy that says we're not pushing any of our minor league pitchers past 74, that's an arbitrary number. You're doing good for some guys, you're doing nothing for other guys. So like to point to colleges, because I don't like saying college coaches ruin pitchers' arms. Pitchers get hurt at every level at all times.
Every level. And the point you made about Andrew Painter across minor league baseball, and again, I think we could easily, it wouldn't take very long, but I think there's an immediate rebuttal to it. There are more percentage of arm injuries in professional baseball than college baseball. Now, average fastball velocity is the reason for that, right? The only thing that we can, exactly. The only thing we can correlate to arm injuries is fastball velocity, right? The harder you throw, the more likely it is to deteriorate, right? So let's just say that is right there. But the reality is like high school kids still go. Everybody in minor league baseball has to have some point in their trajectory where they blow out. Did Quinn Matthews blow out? Yes. Could we look back? And me and you were critical of Stanford riding that kid so hard through the postseason, right? Very critical, if not more critical than most. They were like, oh, it's just a kid out there competing his balls off. And now we're on this side defending pitch counts. And yes, he did blow out. And could there be a direct correlation to that deterioration in the postseason? But we don't know. And we have examples like Andrew Painter where we freaking handle him with kid gloves and we never expect he's pitching on 7 days rest. He's throwing 30 pitches when he goes out there, whatever it is, still blows out. So what do we actually know? And are we certain to say that this pitcher throwing this much? And again, that's not to mention the resources. And I don't know how much college programs do it, but with the ground force technology, with the biomechanical technology, they're able to flag these things a lot sooner than a minor league pitcher pitching on the road is without those access to that information and resources. Do we ever think about that there's actually programs out there that are keeping track of these things? And then the whole thing to two things, right? Because this will be the last thing, because I think this is a whole conversation, because this is the one that frustrated me the most. One, if you become a bad actor in this space, right? You become well known as a coach that rides your pitchers in the ground. Well, unlike the draft prospect that has to go to the Angels, you don't have to go to the program. Recruiting is a thing.
Yeah,
if
right.
you find out that Georgia or Arkansas or whoever takes care of their pitchers better than the other program you're being recruited by, that's agents' jobs, that's parents' jobs, that's players' jobs to ask the right questions, to find out that information, and to truly do research to pick the best program for you. Because if you're a bad actor and you ride pitchers into the ground, and it proves in professional baseball, you stop getting pitchers.
That does happen.
That's free market opportunity of recruiting, right? So if that's the case, let's stop pigeonholing all of college baseball because, and again, I'm not going to sit here and say no kids have blown out, but Matt Hobbs spoke on our first trip there about how they had an 11th rounder, Faraday was his last name, who threw 100 miles per hour upon reaching campus. And I've heard from college coaches that say, well, we don't all have multiple 100 mile per hour. You're completely right. He probably would have pitched at another program. They didn't throw him for 2 years because he wasn't physically ready to withstand the force he created on the mound. Physically ready. You're telling me that guy doesn't care about the health of his pitchers? That guy wouldn't take every high school pitcher that walked onto campus and care about their holistic development, even if it meant not winning a national championship in the year?
Because he's not pitching. I just want to say, too, because to your point, you said that fastball velocity, we know that directly correlates. Not completely, because Jacob Mizrowski's elbow handles his fastball velocity different than someone throwing 94. And actually, depending on the makeup, mechanics, physical build, like you're talking about with the Faraday example, then the guy who throws 94, that could actually put more force on his fastball than Jacob Mizrowski throwing 102.
Yes.
So
if it's not done in an efficient way.
So we still don't have a full answer because you think like that, because that was like forever, right? It's like, oh, he throws hard, he's going to blow out eventually. It's like, but he might be at less risk of blowing out than the guy who tops at 94, actually.
Yes.
Just because the force that he puts on his arm is different than the force that is getting put on, so we don't know. So arbitrarily, again, nitpicking like a number or something like that, there's definitely safe and dangerous ways, but have you ever thought about the way big league orgs use the relievers? No one's ever given you a good answer for that one, right? Because you think about all the prep that starters go through, right? You think about they got 4 or 5 day, and I know we got to get out here, and I'll make this quick. You got a 4 or 5 day routine, everything boom, 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 every single time, right down to the minute. Relievers, you might pitch, you might not pitch, you warm up, you don't warm up, and sure, a lot of teams, it's a hard and fast rule nowadays, you're not going 3 days in a row, but again, that's arbitrary. And what did they do pregame? What's their pregame routine like? But then you're getting work in pregame, then you're not pitching for 4 hours, and you warmed up yesterday and you threw 35 pitches. Now you're do big league teams really treat their relievers? Their starters, their high price starters, sure they get a lot, but some of these relievers get treated worse than the college guy does.
100%. And again, to go full circle on this, because this is the other thing I thought about, because people were complaining about Oklahoma. One of their starters threw 50 pitches in an inning. Okay. Get out of the jam, big dog. It was early in the game, right? 50. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I didn't think 50 pitches in an inning was some arbitrary number that was deadly.
It's just rare, right?
Caden Glauber. Yeah, it's rare. Caden Glauber, who pitched out of the bullpen for UNC, he's supposed to be a senior in high school, enrolled early. He was a dominant pitcher this year. He threw 65 pitches and then came back.
A guy enrolled early in school? That's allowed?
Yeah, right. Well, that goes back to come full circle, right? Caden Glauber, great pitcher, great freshman. We see great pitchers in college baseball all the time. Ask that kid in 10 years whether he gets drafted, not, makes the big leagues or not, if he regrets competing in the College World Series and pushing the bounds of maybe what he was physically capable of doing from a perfect medical standpoint.
Also, like, just
what would he do?
Even going back to the entire conversation here, how about just the experience of getting to go to Omaha? And I know not everyone does that, but still, like, just the experience. Ask him if he would have rather gone to the draft and been in like a 190-degree Birmingham, Alabama a couple weeks ago instead of being in Omaha.
100%. And like competing in a game that matters to a community, to a university, to a community, to be celebrated when you come home. That, but then also, like, what are the odds that kid even makes the big leagues?
1% still.
So we're going to sit here and trash all these coaches when the odds aren't even in the favor of these players making the big leagues, which is the ultimate goal of development. So now we're going to take away Caden Glauber's opportunity to go compete on the biggest stage that he may never get back and say, you can't pitch the next day, even though he wants to. And again, me and you have talked ad nauseum about we need adults in the room to take care of these prospects. 100%. We need adults. We need mature people to say, no, you can't throw, right? You can't throw because the 18-year-old's going to want to pitch every day. But there's a balance to that. Is like, we talk about it with Division III seniors. Oh, it's disgusting that Division III seniors go out and throw 170 pitches on Friday.
And come back with 500.
No, it doesn't. He throws 82.
And he's done. It's over.
And he's done.
It's the last time.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, unless you're going into gymnastics, trust me, I've been through it. You don't need your UCL for anything other than throwing or doing gymnastics and like handsprings. So
yeah,
go ahead and throw 700 pitches, D3 guy. If your career's over.
Here and we're just like, I think we just need to go back to the fact that like these players are getting the opportunity to compete and learn and all these things like that. And not everything needs to be tied to an injury potential, right? An injury risk and all of those things that come into play this late. And just like, it just frustrates me because that's all we heard after this proposal is people are making tweets and posts on social media. We're like, look at what Scott Forbes did to this 18-year-old kid. And it's like that 18-year-old kid has a choice. And if Caden Glauber makes it to the big leagues or not, and sure, if his elbow blows out and he's never able to pick it up above shoulder height and they can exactly circle the point in time that it happened and it comes back, but you can't do all that.
And again, we have no evidence. We really do got to stop because you got to be smart. But there's no evidence that says right now that it's not going to happen at some point if you keep throwing. So, like, I'm not even going to make that because that'll get us in hot water. But it's just like we don't have enough. We don't have the answers yet. We don't have the answers on the. We have practices and we've gotten a lot better at it than we used to for sure. But like, we can't point to this and say this is what caused it yet. If you sleep weird and your hips are tight, you could go out there and blow your UCL out that day and you did everything right and you were on a 40-pitch pitch count every day, but like you slept wrong and like your hips were tight and they weren't moving the way they normally do, and so your elbow got out in front and boom, bye UCL. That happens.
And this is what they have in college baseball. That majority of minor league, when you're on the road and you're throwing your pen day at Georgia, they have 2 Newt Force mounds, one with biomechanics, both with biomechanics, actually, as we think about it. Yeah. They're able to do water bags, med balls, bullpen sessions, every plyo routines in a way that they're quantifying and being able to flag exactly what you're saying. Oh, your hips are a little off. Maybe we should tone you back. Maybe we should get you in the training room more. All of these things. When minor league pitchers go on the road, do they have actionable data to prevent injuries? Like that's the other conversation that people haven't talked about is like, we actually have labs and technology right a stone's throw away from the game field for them to be able to say like, and to think that these coaches aren't doing that of being like, hey, you're putting way too much force on your elbow and we're going to pull you back for an outing. They definitely are. And that's what's going to, again, we go back to like because recruiting's a part of this. If a program isn't doing that, but then another program's able to sell to the 18-year-old and the agent that they are doing that, go to the program that cares about your long-term health and well-being and development. Don't go to the program that's going to do everything for a national championship.
Sure, prerogative.
And like that's that's your choice, right? Like, so I just, again, it's the industry as a whole is default negative. And like you said, we got to wrap up here, and I'm sure we could have a whole nother conversation about pitch counts and all of those things. And I'm risk averse. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, quite
No,
frankly. But to say that like college baseball is ruining these guys when Paul Skeens wouldn't be the Paul Skeens we know without college baseball, Hagen Smith, who ended up being a first round pick, Rhett Lauder was barely recruited to Wake Forest. Look at the pitcher that he became. And we could go on. Chase Burns pitched out of the bullpen as a sophomore and couldn't stick as a starter. And he's going to win a Cy Young potentially in the next 3 years, within 5 years of him not even being able to stick in the rotation at Tennessee. College baseball doesn't matter for those guys. They didn't take care of those guys, their development, and Paul Skeens going from 92 to 101 in an offseason. The developmental structure had nothing to do with that. Nothing. Come on, man. Come on. And he would have been better off in Birmingham, Alabama, driving to Jackson, Mississippi on a bus to go and throw on a dirt mound between outings and sleep in a Holiday Inn. Come on now.
I know.
Like, it's disingenuous, because the reality is people are very negative on the development structures of college baseball. But Dan, any closing thoughts on here before we wrap up? I really enjoyed getting on here and getting to hash that out.
Yeah, if you want Trev's Big Ten and ACC quarterback rankings for the fall of 26, make sure you subscribe to our Patreon.
Mm-hmm. Subscribe to the Discord. We're in there chatting about it all the time. We got a ton of good stuff to talk about. But Dan, I appreciate you taking the time. I know it was a short-lived live guest that we had, but I'm sure there will be plenty of times for more when he's ready and fully prepared. But that'll do for this episode of the Baseball Development Hub podcast.